Hello and welcome. Welcome back, or maybe welcome for the very first time. I'm really glad you're here today. Wherever you are right now, maybe sitting quietly, maybe walking, maybe doing something simple in the background. I want you to relax for a moment and just listen. You don't need to take notes. You don't need to memorize anything. You don't need to study. This is not a lesson in the traditional sense. This is a conversation, a calm one, a familiar one. Today we're talking about daily English you already know but don't notice. And that phrase is important because most people who are learning English believe the same thing. I don't know enough English yet. They think they need more grammar, more vocabulary, more rules, more explanations before they can feel confident. But the truth is very different. You already know much more English than you realize. You hear it every day. You see it every day. You even use it without noticing. English is not just something in textbooks. It's not only in classrooms or exams. It's in your phone. It's in your apps. It's in movies, music, social media, ads, buttons, menus, emails, notifications. It's everywhere. And because it's everywhere, your brain is already familiar with it. The problem is not that you don't know English. The problem is that you don't trust what you know. Think about this for a moment. You wake up in the morning and check your phone. You see words like alarm, snooze, missed call, message, reply, send, delete. Do you stop and translate these words? No, you understand them instantly. When you open an app, you see words like settings, profile, update, share, follow, like, comment. Again, no translation, no effort. Your brain already knows what they mean. This is English. This is real English. And you are already using it. But here's the interesting part. Because this English feels simple or small, you don't count it. You think, this doesn't matter. This is not real English. And that belief is what slows you down. Language doesn't start with big sentences. It starts with familiarity. It starts with small repeated contact. And you already have that contact every single day. Let's talk about something else you already know. Phrases, not grammar rules, not tenses, just phrases. Think about how often you hear or use expressions like no problem. Of course, I think so. Maybe. I don't know. It depends. That's fine. Sounds good. These are not advanced. They are not complex, but they are powerful. Native speakers use them constantly, and you probably understand them without effort. Now ask yourself honestly, when someone says sounds good, do you need to translate it word by word? No, you just understand the feeling. And that's how language really works. It's not about words. It's about meaning. It's about intention. It's about context. One of the biggest mistakes English learners make is believing that fluency comes from perfection. It doesn't. Fluency comes from comfort. Comfort with not knowing everything. Comfort with using what you already have. Comfort with making small mistakes and moving on. Native speakers make mistakes too, all the time. They forget words. They change sentences in the middle. They say, but they keep going. They don't stop and apologize for every mistake. They focus on communication, not accuracy. And that's something you can do too. Starting now, let's talk about listening. You've probably listened to English far more than you think. Even if you say, I don't listen to English. Content, that's usually not true. Music, movies, series, YouTube clips, short videos, trailers, even background noise. Your brain has been exposed to English sounds for years. And your brain is smart. It notices patterns. It remembers rhythm. It recognizes familiar structures. That's why sometimes you hear a sentence and think, I don't know why, but this sounds right. That feeling is not magic. That's experience. That's learning. But here's the problem. Many learners don't allow themselves to trust that feeling. They stop and say, wait, I need to check the grammar. And the moment they do that, the flow breaks. Confidence disappears. Anxiety enters. English doesn't live in grammar books. Grammar explains English, but it doesn't create it. You don't speak your native language by thinking about grammar rules, and you don't need to do that in English either. Now let's talk about something very important. Thinking in English. Many people believe that they can't think in English because they are not ready yet. But thinking in English doesn't mean having deep philosophical thoughts. It starts with very simple things. Single words, short reactions, emotional responses. When you see something surprising and think, really? That's thinking in English. When you hear something funny and think, that's funny, that's thinking in English. When you're not sure and think, maybe, that's English too. You don't need full sentences. You don't need perfect structure. Thinking in English starts small, and you are already doing it more than you notice. Let's slow down for a moment. Imagine you're in a cafe. You hear English music playing softly in the background. You don't understand every word, but you recognize some phrases. You catch emotions. You feel the mood. That's comprehension. That's language. And that's enough. Understanding doesn't mean understanding everything. Native speakers don't understand everything either, especially in noisy places. Fast conversations or unfamiliar topics. They guess, they assume, they fill in gaps, and you can do the same. One of the reasons English feels hard is because learners put too much pressure on themselves. They think every sentence is a test. Every conversation is an exam. Every mistake is a failure. But language is not a performance. It's a tool. And tools don't need to be perfect. They need to be useful. Let's talk about usefulness. If you can understand basic instructions, simple conversations, everyday phrases, you are already functional. You can improve from there. But if you keep telling yourself, I'm bad at English, your brain will believe it and act accordingly. Instead, try changing the story. Not to something unrealistic like I'm fluent, but to something honest and powerful. I understand more than I think, because that's true. Now let's talk about daily English again, the kind you don't notice. Think about how often you hear questions like, what's up? Or, how's it going? These are not real questions. They are social signals. You don't answer them with a long explanation. You answer with good, fine, not bad, okay, and that's enough. Understanding this changes everything. Because English is full of these social shortcuts. And once you stop translating them, literally, English becomes much easier. Another example, see you. It doesn't mean you will literally see someone. It means goodbye. You already know this. But when you notice that you know it, something shifts. You start trusting yourself. Confidence doesn't come from learning more. It comes from recognizing what you already have. Let's be honest for a moment. You don't need 10,000 words to communicate. You need a few hundred, used well. And many of those words are already in your life. The goal is not to sound smart. The goal is to be understood and to understand. As we move toward the end of this conversation, I want you to take something with you. A different mindset, a calmer one. You are not starting from zero. You are not behind. You are not failing. You are already on the path. Every time you notice English in your daily life, pause for a second, smile, say to yourself, I know this. That small moment of awareness is powerful. It builds confidence quietly, naturally, and confidence is what allows you to speak, listen, and improve without fear. If this way of thinking feels helpful to you, if it made English feel a little closer, a little more familiar, I'd really love to hear your thoughts. You can share your experience, your struggles, or even small moments where you suddenly realized, oh, I actually know this. And if you enjoyed this calm, podcast-style way of learning and reflecting on English, don't forget to like this episode, leave a comment, and subscribe so you don't miss future conversations like this one. Your support helps this space grow, and it helps more learners realize that English is not as far away as they think. Thank you for listening. Take care, and remember, you already know more English than you notice.